Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Donna Goodwin Barr. She is a life coach and a mentor with Encourage, Then Empower, a brand new ministry. And is this ministry part of New Point Church or separate?
It's separate.
But a lot of training came through New Point.
Absolutely. And they still will call me for mentoring with their program as well.
So where are you located, and how do people contact you?
I'm located in New Philadelphia. Basically, I have business cards with a phone number and P.O. box and my email address. But most of it has been through community connections. When I'm out with, even with my career, I work for a domestic violence shelter. So when I'm out in the community, I'm talking to people. Very often it'll come up, that I do mentor and things, and then they'll contact me. People will refer. Sometimes the pastors will call. Other mentors will call.
So is this a one-on-one type ministry? Do you meet people in their homes or out for lunch or coffee? Or how does this work if a person wants to have a life coach?
Most of the time it's one-to-one because it is very personal, very individualized. They have to decide for themselves where God's taking them. I rarely go to other people's homes, but we do meet out in coffee shops. We'll meet at New Point a lot, restaurants, whatever's comfortable. We've met at the park.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, and I think the purpose for you to be here visiting with us today, we want to make people know about the ministry for two reasons. Some may be interested in having a life coach. Some may be interested in becoming a life coach. So let's start with the people to have one. Okay, I have decided, let's say, I need a life coach because I'm in a different phase of life now. The kids are grown, as you say. Change of jobs, change of everything. And so where does one begin? Just give you a call, and the first thing you say is, let's develop a life plan. How do I do that?
First, I need to find out where they're at and where they want to go. And then the method I use is pretty much a journal. Some people will use an online app, that has all the forms, and they just fill them out.
There's an app for doing a life plan?
For life plans, absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah. Depends on how techie you want to be.
There's an app for everything, isn't there? My goodness. Yeah. Okay.
But we'll start breaking it down, and it's all homework on them. They have to be the ones to determine where do they really want to go or where do they want to test the waters. And then we start breaking it apart. And if they have a point and they're just stuck, they can call me. We can get back together. It's an ongoing process. It's a life plan. You do it for the rest of your life.
And how do you know that you're succeeding?
Oh, you'll see that you've completed different steps. And as long as the doors remain open, as long as those are still according to where God is leading you, you'll know. You'll see the progress in what you've done, and you'll see the opportunities that open up. People that come into your life that you weren't even expecting, financial help. You'll see things like funding will come that you wasn't expecting at all, but you needed.
You talk as though you have seen this happen with people.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, let's get into that. Tell us some of the stories, because this sounds fascinating.
Well, for instance, in my own life with this ministry, I resisted for quite a while before I accepted the calling because I didn't think that I was worthy. I hadn't been to seminary. I didn't have a license of any type. But God kept insisting, no matter how much I resisted it. And doors would start to open. And things that He didn't want me doing that were keeping me from accomplishing that goal, those doors would close. The current job that I have now, being in a domestic violence shelter, it's a match for what I want to do, for how I want to serve women that are suffering. And that door opened just because somebody called and said, I have a friend that's the executive director, and she needs somebody to help her. And it was a little part-time, didn't pay much kind of thing, but it fed directly into a ministry.
Isn't that amazing how
It
that
is.
works? My
It is.
goodness. Age group that you like to work with. I'm thinking this would be great for young people, college-age people, even teenagers, wanting to think about, I don't want to mess up. I don't want to have to learn by a lot of mistakes. It'd be nice to just get right there and learn the easy way. And then also people in transition, retirees, I think. Am I hitting these all on the right head? Everybody needs you? Everyone.
It's never too early to start. And you talked about, doing it right the first time. It's the mistakes that teach you and grow you.
Oh, so we're encouraging people go.
When you fall flat on your face, you'll know.
I've heard more business people say that you always learn from the businesses that go under, that tank. That is invaluable experience because that's what teaches you how to do it right, and then you get the successful one. It's too hard. Too bad that we can't just do it right the first time.
That would be wonderful.
Wouldn't it?
But God's given us free will, so we will make mistakes. We will choose the wrong things or allow people to influence us in a direction that doesn't even fit us.
Can we do less of that if we have a life coach?
I believe you can do less of that if you have a life plan and just people, relationships that'll feed into your life. You need someone to bounce things off of, someone that's unbiased, that you can just talk to and say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm seeing, to give you that support and encouragement that you need.
But I like what you're saying, that we have free will. There was a movement in the church, 30 or 40 years ago, a while ago, called shepherding. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? Where someone who was older in the faith would tell someone who was younger in the faith what to do. And messed up a lot of people's lives. They were going with not that much information, but
we shouldn't be telling them what to do.
Exactly.
They need to be taking everything back to God. They need to go back to Him in prayer and make sure that what's in their heart is what He's wanting. A lot of times our heads drive us. That's what gets us into things we shouldn't be into. That's where we start looking more at the money than the job. Everything we do needs to be something in service to God and other people. When we become so self-focused, that's when we start making mistakes. So I think that having someone just there beside of you, somebody that'll hold your hand and say, it's going to be great, we're going to do this. One of the things that I do is provide resources, too. Sometimes people don't know where to start. They want a career, but they may not know what type of industry, where to get the training. And I have a lot of background with those kind of things, so I can help with that also. So that's kind of the advocate piece, which is what I do on my job now, is advocate for the women.
Let's peel that back a little bit. What kinds of resources are available that we are not aware of?
Sometimes, someone will come in and they're really struggling financially. Well, there's some very good programs that are available, and some are free for setting up budgets, learning how to be a good steward of what God has given you. So I can refer them to different programs through that. There's different government agencies that have things that might help them. Sometimes they aren't even aware that there's a benefit out there that they may be able to apply for. Financing for college. Those kind of things. And
within the Domestic Violence Project, sometimes the financial part has been the area of abuse. Yes, right. And I would think that learning how to be able to become independent and
absolutely
and make their own budget and steward their own resources.
I do a lot of empowering, even more so than the encouraging, on my job. Because these women have been controlled and battered and held down for so long, they can't even begin to function. So we help them with jobs, benefits, housing, transportation, child care, everything they need to try to rebuild their life again.
This is great information for those wanting a life coach. Now let's talk about somebody else who may be interested in becoming a life coach. They say, I've got some experiences and people tend to come to me for advice. How do you determine whether this may be a calling? And then how do they go forward on it and follow in your footsteps?
I think that if you're going to be a life coach, you almost have to be a mentor first. You have to have that point of reference for the empathy, for knowing how to go through something. How do I claw my way out of this hole that I've dug? So I think mentoring is even more crucial than a life coach. A life coach is the continuation. That's the point where, okay, they're stable, they've got to start. Let's start building on the dream now.
Mentoring talks to a person where they are.
Where they are.
Life coach talks to them about where they would like to be.
I think that's my concept.
And you're connecting the dots with them, not for them.
Absolutely.
So interesting. All right. And the training, what kinds of training does a person need to do this? What kind of training did you go through?
Through the mentoring program at New Point, we went through everything from one of the books that we focused on was called When Helping Hurts. And it was about not just giving them funding or giving them things they need. It was showing them how to earn the funds, how to make the steps themselves. That was a huge book for me in our mentoring program. And I think you have to have that faith foundation. People will say that they're a mentor, and they're maybe a career mentor on the job. But without that faith foundation, without God leading them, how can you possibly show them where to go?
Right. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him. He will direct your path.
Absolutely.
That sounds like the foundation for it. Frustrations that you've faced or challenges with this?
Sometimes there's challenges with things that I just have no background with. I have worked with people that have, say, a mental illness. I have no background. I do a lot of praying. I do a lot of referring. I will refer them to Christian counselors, psychologists, those types of things. And I'll tell them, if you want me with you, I'll be beside you.
We're speaking with Donna Goodwin Barr. The ministry is Encourage, then Empower. It's brand new.
Brand new.
Very exciting. How do people reach you?
They can email me at donnagoodwinbarr@gmail.com. Or they can call me. The number's 330-432-3487.
And could you give that one more time, please?
330-432-3487.
Awesome. Whether you're interested in looking for a life coach or becoming a life coach or distinguishing between mentoring and life coaching, Donna will be happy to help you. Thank you so much for all you do in our community.
Thank you for having me.